And God says that honesty is so intimate, it's like a kiss on the lips. That's Proverbs 24:26. An honest answer is like a kiss on the lips. So, one of the biggest keys to having an amazing marriage with great connection, closeness, and intimacy is to be honest, authentic, transparent with each other so that you are fully known by your spouse. So that first obstacle was overcoming fear of rejection, right? And here's the thing, you can live in fear. You can choose to live in fear and succumb to that fear and just live in fear. You can make that choice, but you will miss out on the rich and intimate marriage that God has intended for you. So it's your choice to either kind of like cave into the fear or to be brave and take the risk to maybe take some baby steps in being honest, but to just start to take the risk and knowing that God will be there no matter what. Because what's the worst thing that could happen is that your spouse would, I don't know, make fun of you or ridicule or whatever. But you know what? Even if that worst case scenario were to happen, do you trust God to still be there to hold you? Do you really trust God enough that you can take that risk, right? Hebrews 13:5 is a great verse.
Yes, and it says, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. That's what Jesus is saying to us. One of the things that you want to just keep in mind, and men, we are to be the spiritual heads of our homes, okay? Whenever you start a discussion in this manner, or any discussion, it's good to practice in praying first. Ask the Holy Spirit to be there. And especially if you're agitated, or she might be agitated, or someone's agitated.
So what does that sound like for someone who's maybe not used to doing a lot of praying out loud, and you're saying, oh, pray before you start talking? What does that sound like? Does it have to be some long prayer?
No, it doesn't have to be a long prayer of just, oh, let's bow our heads and all. No, it's just a matter of acknowledging Jesus. See, if you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, He is in you. He's there. And all you want to do is acknowledge Him by saying, Lord, thank you for being here with my wife and I. We've got some things to talk about, and we don't want to be looking at you. We want you to be in the middle of what's going on here. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
Just acknowledging Jesus' presence, okay? And when you do that, all of a sudden, things will change. Because you know what? He's listening to that, okay? You're asking Him. He says you don't receive because you don't ask. And sometimes we ask with the wrong motive. So if you have a wrong motive for trying to get a discussion going, and so Jesus is not going to be part of it. Just to let you know, okay? So what's really important is that we realize and know that in perfect love, there is no fear. And that is Jesus. So when we have Him there, fear is going to flee.
That obstacle of not being sure if you can trust your spouse to be for you. And I want to kind of explain what that means to be for you. We all need to make sure that we respond gently and tenderly to our spouse when he or she opens up and shares their most vulnerable heart, when they're really trying to be honest and maybe take that risk with you, right? To share what they're really feeling, or maybe something they've hoped would be different in the marriage, and they've never really come up with the nerve to say it, and they're just taking that risk. Or maybe they're disclosing something that they've never shared with you from the past, something that has been shameful, and they're going to take that risk. They need to know that you are for them, that you are going to treat that as a gift, that you're going to hold it tenderly and lovingly, that you're not going to lecture them or criticize them or look like you're disgusted with them, but that you're going to communicate that you are for them, that you're going to be a good listener, you're not going to be interrupting, you're not going to be trying to finish the sentence. I do that all the time. I'm so sorry. But just to listen and treat that as a gift, that they're willing to open up and share something that's probably really tough for them to do. We want to suggest reading 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7 together. That is the love chapter. Yes, you've heard it a million times, but we would really like to suggest that you sit down, maybe tonight when you get home, maybe it's going to be tomorrow, maybe it's your next date night, and you read that passage slowly together and maybe even discuss the points in that little passage. It's only like 3 verses long, but it is just packed with basically being for your spouse. Can we read it together?
Yeah, and here's what it is. And we're reading out of the NIV.
I think it's the NIV. I forgot which translation.
Love is patient.
Love is kind.
It does not envy.
It does not boast.
It is not proud.
It does not dishonor others.
It is not self-seeking.
It is not easily angered.
It keeps no record of wrongs.
Love does not delight in evil.
But rejoices with the truth.
It always protects.
Always hopes.
Or trusts would be the next word. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. I mean, that's like, do you get the image of just being for your spouse? That is just like the perfect description of being for your spouse. So even this revelation that maybe they finally tell you about something and maybe it's even irritating to you or hurtful to you, but the fact that they were taking that risk to open up and be vulnerable with you, you treat that as a gift because you believe the best in them, you always trust them, you always hope, you protect, you rejoice with the truth, you're not easily angered. It's being for your spouse.
One of the most important parts of this that really resonated with me, and I love when it takes place, is that it keeps no record of wrong or wrongs. When someone has come up to you and asked you for forgiveness, and you forgive them, and let it go. Don't keep bringing it up later on. Oh, I see what you're doing. You're going to do the same thing that you did 17 years ago. Do you remember that date? You guys know what I'm talking about. It keeps no record of wrongs. Jesus, when he forgives us, he says in two different parts of the Bible, he says, your sin I will take and throw behind me. In another part of it, he says, I take your sin and throw it into the deepest part of the ocean, sinks to the bottom, never to be risen again. He says, you are white as snow. A clean slate. Given a new opportunity, and that happens over and over and over again.
Can you imagine if we lived like that, really, as couples, where we were so for our spouse? Both of us were so for each other. Can you just get a vision for what that would be like to have a marriage like that, where you're completely for your spouse? I mean, that is a sweet spot there. That is like totally emotional intimacy, totally fulfilling marriage. That's the kind of marriage we all want to have, right?